It started as a seemingly normal day. Yet, for one unsuspecting family, the quiet hum of their computer quickly turned into a nightmare that would change everything they knew about trust, security, and their very lives. They had no idea that their online world was about to be shattered by someone they would never see, someone who could access their most personal information with just a few keystrokes. But the true twist came when they discovered the identity of the hacker. Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Bite Crimes to stay updated on more chilling, real-life cybercrime stories. Rachel Turner was a 32-year-old mother of two who worked as a freelance graphic designer from her home in suburban Atlanta, Georgia. Her husband, Ethan, worked in corporate finance, traveling often for work. Between balancing her kids and her growing business, Rachel had recently started using a personal finance app to better manage her savings. It was a decision that seemed harmless enough. After all, who wouldn't want to keep track of their finances more easily? But Rachel didn't know that one simple download would soon lead to a life-altering situation. How? She'd been getting occasional email from the app, nothing unusual, until one morning she noticed an email titled, "Important update. Your account is compromised." Her heart sank as she clicked on the message. It was the beginning of something much darker. The email wasn't from the app's official support team. It was a perfect fake. They even included the app's logo, making it look nearly identical to the Realda. By the time Rachel realized what had happened, her savings, over $12,000, had vanished from her account. She was devastated. How did this happen? She immediately went to the bank, only to be told that the transactions were too late to reverse. The hacker had moved the money through a series of complex online routes, using cryptocurrency and anonymous exchanges. The hackers' methods were chilling. They didn't just steal money. They had infiltrated her digital life, leaving behind a trail of breadcrumbs. They had gained access to her private emails, social media accounts, and even her children's school records. Rachel felt violated, as though someone had broken into her home without ever physically stepping foot inside. Her every move, every conversation, had been under surveillance by a faceless stranger. As she sat in her living room, clutching her phone, the cold reality began to set in. This wasn't just about money. Her sense of security, her ability to trust the technology she used daily, it was all gone. Detective Michael Taylor, a seasoned investigator with the Atlanta Police Department's cybercrime unit, was assigned to Rachel's case. Michael was no stranger to cybercrimes, but this one hit differently. The emotional toll on the victim was palpable, and Rachel's sense of betrayal was evident in every interview. "I don't know how they did it," Rachel said, shaking her head, as if trying to piece together the puzzle. "I don't even remember downloading anything suspicious." The first step in the investigation was to examine Rachel's phone and computer for any signs of malicious software. They quickly discovered a small, barely noticeable piece of code embedded in the personal finance app that Rachel had downloaded. It was a keylogger, a type of malware designed to capture every keystroke, allowing a hacker to gain access to her personal information, passwords, and even banking details. But the keylogger wasn't just placed in the app by random chance. The team quickly realized this was a targeted attack. Someone had carefully designed the malware to be distributed through the app's latest update, which had rolled out just a week before Rachel downloaded it. As Michael and his team dug deeper, they began to uncover several red herrings. The hacker's digital footprint was intentionally smeared, making it difficult to track their movements. They had used proxy servers to hide their IP addresses, making the hacker seem like a ghost. There were also multiple false leads that pointed to innocent suspects. One potential lead was a disgruntled employee of the personal finance app who had been fired recently. Investigators briefly considered him, especially after they discovered that his access privileges to the company's internal systems were revoked the day Rachel's data was stolen. But the more they dug into his background, the more they realized he had an airtight alibi. He was nowhere near the location when the breach occurred. Meanwhile, Rachel's frustration grew. She was left helpless, unable to even check her credit reports without fearing further attacks. Her life had been disrupted by someone she would never meet, someone who was playing a game of cat and mouse with the law, and she was stuck in the middle. Then, Just as the investigation seemed to stall, a breakthrough came from an unlikely source: Rachel's old college roommate, Mia. Mia worked in digital security, and when Rachel reached out to her for advice, Mia was immediately suspicious of how the hacker had obtained such detailed personal information. Mia asked Rachel to send her a list of all the apps she had installed around the time the theft occurred. After a quick look, Mia noticed something strange. Among the list of apps, there was a seemingly harmless weather app that Rachel hadn't used in months. The app's terms and conditions were vague, but Mia had a hunch. After examining the app's permissions, it was clear that the weather app had far too much access to Rachel's data. This access included her contact list, messages, and, most damning of all, her financial information. Mia theorized that a hacker had been monitoring Rachel's phone for months, waiting for the right moment to strike. The moment of realization hit Rachel hard. She had been targeted long before the actual theft. The hacker had been watching her every move, building a profile of her life, her habits, and her weaknesses. But here's where things took an unexpected turn. Mia's investigation revealed the hacker's most shocking mistake. They had used a unique cryptocurrency wallet, one that was traceable. And that's when the team realized the hacker had made a fatal flaw in their carefully crafted plan. Michael Taylor stared at the screen, his fingers hovering over the keyboard as he prepared to trace the hacker's wallet. But just as the trace began, an unexpected message popped up on Michael's screen. For a moment, time stood still. Michael's breath caught in his throat as he read the message again, wondering if his eyes were playing tricks on him. "You're next." It wasn't just a threat, it was an open declaration that the hacker was watching him, aware that he was on the verge of finding them. Michael quickly assessed the situation, his mind racing. The hacker knew they were being tracked now. It was possible they could shut down the trace at any moment. Michael's phone buzzed, a new notification from the same account that had just messaged him. This time, it was an image, a distorted, blurred face that made Michael feel even more exposed. "Shut down your devices," Michael said urgently, his voice tinged with concern. "We don't know how much they can access. I need to move quickly." But Rachel couldn't bring herself to shut everything down. Every inch of her felt paralyzed, her life hanging by a thread. The hacker had not just stolen her money. They had invaded her life in ways that seemed impossible to undo. How could she turn everything off when she didn't even know how deep the breach had gone? Michael and his team worked tirelessly, tracing every available lead they could find. With the hacker's cryptocurrency wallet finally exposed, they could follow the money trail more closely. It was time to go on the offensive. But as Michael prepared to launch a coordinated takedown, he received an alarming update. The wallet address that had been linked to the hacker, it was empty, completely drained, no trace of any funds remaining. The hacker had covered their tracks once again, moving the money and data into a series of untraceable wallets. As if to add insult to injury, Michael noticed a series of transactions connected to a secure messaging app. The hacker had been communicating with someone who could be the key to ending this. But like everything else, those communications were cloaked in layers of encryption, hiding their true source. Rachel's hope was dwindling, but she knew she couldn't give up. She needed closure, even if it meant confronting the hacker directly. Just as things seemed hopeless, an anonymous tip came in. It was brief, but it changed everything. The message read, "Look at the forums." It was a cryptic statement, but Rachel remembered a suspicious forum thread she had seen months ago when she first started using the finance app. Could it be connected? She wasn't sure, but she had no choice but to trust it. After combing through the dark corners of the internet, Michael and his team found the forum, a black market exchange where cybercriminals openly traded information, malware, and stolen data. The hacker's username was there, buried in plain sight, interacted with others who had similar intentions. But the key piece of information was this: they had a reputation, a name that had come up repeatedly across several cases of digital theft. That name? Adam Knight, a notorious figure in the world of online crime, known for his ability to bypass any security system. He had a history, a long one, and had evaded capture for years. Now the team had him, but just as they prepared to act on the intel, a new bombshell hit. Adam Knight had disappeared. The digital traces of his activities led to an empty building in a quiet neighborhood in Atlanta. It seemed as though he had anticipated the takedown and had already gone underground. Michael knew they were close, but Adam was a master of disappearing without a trace. Rachel was devastated, feeling as though she was running out of time. Rachel sat in her living room, feeling helpless. She was now a part of something bigger, an ongoing battle between the law and a man who operated in the shadows. It wasn't just about getting her money back. It was about stopping him from destroying others the way he had destroyed her. With every day that passed, her family's sense of security slipped further away. But she wasn't about to let him win. She would do whatever it took to make sure this hacker didn't destroy anyone else's life. Weeks passed, and the case remained unsolved. Despite Michael's relentless efforts, Adam Knight remained elusive. The money was long gone, but the emotional scars lingered. Rachel's life had been turned upside down, but she had found a strength she never knew she had. She became an advocate for cybersecurity awareness, sharing her story to warn others about the dangers lurking online. Then one evening, as Rachel was getting ready for bed, she received a final message. It wasn't from Adam Knight. It was from someone else, someone claiming to have information about his whereabouts. The message read, "The fight against cybercrime was far from over. What do you think? How far do you think Adam Knight will go to stay hidden?" Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Bite Crimes for more chilling, educational, and informational true crime stories like this. Stay safe online, and remember, there's always more lurking beneath the surface than meets the eye.